19.5 billion, folks. 19.5 billion is the amount Canada is sending to Ukraine. Folks, just this year alone, 4.5 billion in aid to Ukraine. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, Christopher, of course we need to be sending money to Ukraine. Of course, that's absolutely essential. But I want to put this in perspective with other G7 nations, folks, countries in Europe who may feel that they are directly implicated by the Russia-Ukraine war are giving less than Canada. I just want to repeat that. Other countries in Europe who may feel directly implicated by the Russia-Ukraine war are giving Ukraine less. And that begs the question, why is Canada's commitment to Ukraine so much higher than other European nations? And I just want to mention that this has nothing necessarily to do with right or left. In fact, it was the Conservatives, when Russia invaded Crimea, that scolded the Russians for their continuous invasion of Ukraine. In fact, all three major political party leaders have spoken at the Ukrainian Canadian Congress's annual conventions and other events that they're having. And so I see across the aisle that there's this large, wide-scale support for Ukraine. In fact, I would also argue that Chrystia Freeland was very instrumental in Canada's current policy on Ukraine. But folks, it begs the question. It really does beg the question. Currently, with cost of living so high, inflation so high, unemployment so high in this country, how important is Canada's support for Ukraine right now? Would you say that if we walk down the streets in Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, talking to moms and dads and families who are struggling to survive, that they would be supportive of $19.5 billion to Ukraine right now? I don't believe that would be the case. In fact, I would argue that our support should actually come down. In fact, if we wanted to do it on a GDP per capita level, our support should actually be around about a few billion, if not less, on a per year basis. The bigger question here, folks, and something we should really talk about, when we look at the Ukrainian Canadian Congress, when we look at the policy perspectives that they have advocated for, the Canadian government has enacted those policies completely. If you look at the UCC, a not-for-profit organization, one that advocates on behalf of Ukrainian Canadians, they're just another advocacy group, but the government has taken every single one of their recommendations and implemented them in lockstep. Now, to me, that seems a bit odd. You know, you have advocacy groups of all different groups across Canada, and they're all advocating for better policies and better projects and better programs for their community. But when it comes to the Ukrainian Canadian Congress, everything they advocate for, they get. Everything they want, they get, and every single political party leader speaks at their conventions. Now, folks, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. I don't want to say that this is something that should spark more criticisms, but it should spark a conversation. Because right now in Canada, we are so indebted as a country. We have spent tens of billions of dollars on things that are very questionable, and I think Canadians deserve more answers. But here's a question for Conservatives in 2025, as we can all assume the Conservatives will be the majority governing party. What will their policy be on Ukraine? Will they continue to support Ukraine to the level that the previous government did? And what will their policies be as Ukraine transitions to a new world where some of their eastern regions may in fact be overtaken by Russia? I'd love to know what you think. Leave a comment, leave a like. Tell all your friends, folks. Open Minds, this is the place where we as Canadians can engage on big topics in a truly respectful manner.